Right, so in this part of our discussion, we're going to talk about various types of corporate strategy. Before we get into the various types of corporate strategies, I must flag that the word strategy is quite broad and there's no specific number when it comes to the types of strategies. So there are various types of strategies which may or may not relate to different types of organization. So let me just give you like a very broad understanding of these various types of strategies. So as I have mentioned before, the corporate strategy is mainly relates with the corporation, which is the main organization, like the umbrella, who makes the decision. So again, referring back to the example of Virgin, like, Virgin is like a giant, corporation, and under the umbrella of Virgin or the brand name of Virgin, there are lots of strategic business units like airlines and beverage and music and aerospace and things like these. So in this part of our discussion, we're talking about the corporate strategy. So one type of corporate strategy is known as market penetration. So as it suggests, the name suggests, penetration is when a corporation is trying to sort of penetrate into an entirely new market. And I've actually used the examples of these like various brands as the image along with the name. So I've given the example of Apple TV. Now, this is a good example of penetration because, Apple is mostly renowned for creating mobile phones and laptops. So their brand reputation was mainly with the technology side of the thing, like creating hardwares of great technologies. But then suddenly Apple decided that they will dive into the streaming services to compete with other operators or other players in the streaming services, because this is becoming the most profitable means of like media and like an alternative media for television. So then they decided to penetrate. So this is an example when an established organization or corporation decides to dive into an entirely new industry or a sector which is not related to what they do. It may be or may not be related, but that's an example of penetration. Then comes to new product development. Okay, so this is again another corporate level decision for an organization is to whether they will dive into something entirely new. So developing new product, and then in a way this is also penetrating into the market, but they're mainly focusing on the product, like their new product. So you can see the example of Virgin Galactic is the newest exciting venture of Virgin Corporation, because Sir Richard Branson thought that, well, I have explored telecommunications, I've explored airlines, I've explored music, I've explored beverage, I've explored hospitality. So what's left? And then he decided, okay, now let's just create a new product. So Virgin Galactic, so they're actually sending their spacecraft like this to outer space to explore Moon, Mars, and whatnot. So this is an example when an organization or a brand decides to create new product and then go to new markets. That's also another example of a corporate strategy. Consolidation strategy is when a brand is aiming to consolidate. Consolidation strategy is when an organization is trying to, develop a strong foothold in the market by either merging with similar industries or similar businesses, or acquiring some smaller businesses which are struggling in the market. So the aim here is to concentrate and consolidate in the market, having a very firm foothold into the market. So once an organization knows that, well, we're doing very well, and now it's time for us to consolidate so that we can become like a giant in the market. An example is Microsoft's acquisition of Nokia, because Microsoft is like, predominantly their product was Windows and operating system. But then they thought, okay, so big brands like Apple and like, Samsung, they are also coming up with their smartphones and stuff like that. So how do we compete with them? So then they decided that we will go for acquisition. So the way consolidation happens either by merger and acquisition. So that's an example of consolidation strategy, when you're trying to concentrate in the market and consolidate all of your resources and competencies, and then create some other profitable ventures within the market. Diversification is a strategy when an organization is planning to diversify into various product segments. So diversification, I've used the example of like a car, like in the automobile industry, you will see these days, all of the brands, they are trying to diversify their products. So not only within the same automobile class that they are at, but they're just trying to diversify into various markets. So for instance, like you look into brands like Toyota, which used to known as a very decent, like, sedan, a family car, but nowadays they're also getting into, like sports model trucks and SUVs and like big cars. So they're trying to diversify their businesses into various other portfolios or various other brands. Market development is a strategy when an organization is creating entirely a new market. And a good example is Uber. Now, Uber started an industry which didn't used to exist before, which is ride sharing. So prior to that, like, people were relying mostly on public transport or private means of transportation. But Uber has disrupted that by creating an entirely new market. So the market development strategy is an organization will aim to create an entirely new market. So it's not only about creating the new product, but you're creating a new market. So in this new market, you're trying to disrupting the existing ways of, like, providing values or services, and then offering your product. And then there will be similar brands coming along the party to join, and then trying to grab some market share. So Uber, they've started ride sharing, and clearly nowadays you see a whole heap of different ride sharing businesses based in different countries. So that's another corporate strategy.